She said the ring got in the way of work, that client's curiosity was a threat to the deal, that it was easier not to explain. He believed her, or pretended to, until one party photo turned his calm into silent vigilance. One glance, and everything cracked. A bare finger, a stranger's shoulder too close, and a smile that wasn't meant for him. He didn't cause a scene, didn't demand answers. He started piecing it together, calmly, coldly, methodically. The calendar, the secret profile, the messages where another man knew more about him than he ever should have. No shouting, just screenshots. No drama, just frozen accounts. Hello, my friend. I'm so glad you stopped by my channel. If you're here for the first time, don't forget to subscribe and share this video with your friends or family. It really helps my channel a lot. Please tell me in which city or country you watched this video. I value every one of your comments. So let's get started. At first, I didn't think much of it. Melina had always carried herself like a polished brand, tailored suits, flawless hair, and a confidence that seemed to arrive before she did. Her work in luxury real estate demanded appearances not just as a detail, but as the whole package. Early in our relationship, she once said, "Buyers don't want reminders of someone else's life. They want a blank canvas. That's what I give them." So when I first noticed her not wearing her wedding ring at work, I let it go. We were only 6 months into being married. I figured she'd forgotten. One morning, as we were both getting ready, I brought it up lightly. "Hey, where's your ring?" She was mid-stroke with her mascara when she paused. "Oh, I leave it off during showings. It can be a distraction." "A distraction how?" I asked. She gave a nonchalant shrug. "It invites questions. People get curious. Start asking personal stuff. It shifts the focus off the property. This way's just easier." I nodded like it made sense, but the explanation lingered in my mind. Every evening, as soon as she walked through the door, the ring would reappear, slipped on before her shoes were even off, like it was part of some well-rehearsed performance. Then, a few weeks later, something else caught my attention and didn't sit right. I was half watching a muted game on the TV and scrolling through Facebook when I noticed a public tag. A guy named Elias, maybe mid-30s, hair gelled back like a timeshare salesman, had tagged Melina in a rooftop group shot. The caption read, "Another killer night with our top closer. Melina's got all the boys wrapped around her finger, or maybe not." I tapped to expand the photo. 5 people in total, all men. Melina was in the middle, beaming with a cocktail in hand. Her ring finger, completely bare. But it wasn't just the missing ring. It was how she leaned toward one of the guys, closer than you'd expect from someone who simply forgot to accessorize. I didn't mention it. I stared at the screen and tried to convince myself it was just a networking event. But the next morning, when I watched her casually slip her ring off again before heading out, I didn't say anything. I just started paying attention. Once you catch one thing, everything else starts coming into view. It became obvious the missing ring wasn't an oversight. It was part of her routine. Each morning, without fail, Melina would remove the band, slide it into a small velvet pouch, and zip it into her handbag. Not just when she had showings, every workday. Always followed by a breezy, "Love you, babe," as she walked out the door. One morning, as she reached for her bag, I asked, "No tours today, right? So why not wear the ring?" Without hesitation, she replied, "Still better this way, keeps things clean." "Fair enough," I said. "Just wondering." She leaned in to kiss me goodbye, but there was a slight tension in her eyes, like I'd touched a nerve. That weekend, we went to a barbecue hosted by one of our college friends. Melina was in her element, lighting up conversations like she was born to entertain. Everyone seemed drawn to her, but I couldn't stop watching how she dodged questions about her marriage. When someone asked, she joked, "Oh, Gavin's the sentimental one. I just tag along." Later that week, I reached out to someone I barely knew from her previous firm, Tessa. We'd met at a couple of networking events. She'd recently moved to a different company. "Hey, Quick random question, I typed. When you and Melina worked together, did she usually wear a wedding ring? Tessa replied almost instantly. Honestly? Don't think so. Didn't even realize she was married until I saw your Instagram. A second message followed soon after. Why do you ask? I told her I was just curious. She didn't push, but she added one last comment. Melina's always been sharp with appearances. She could read any room and tailor herself to it. That line stuck with me. It echoed in my mind all evening. Later, while she stirred dinner at the stove, I leaned against the kitchen counter and asked, "Is it common for other agents at your firm to leave their rings off? Or is that just your thing?" She didn't look up. Are we doing this now? I'm just asking. She set the spoon down carefully. Gavin, what's this about? I met her eyes. I just want to understand where we stand. That's all. She sighed and pressed her fingers to her temples. If you think something's wrong, just say it. But I didn't. I didn't need to. About a month before the wedding, I'd synced our digital calendars to stay on top of the planning. I'd forgotten all about it, until one night when a notification popped up on my iPad. Dinner, Ocean Bar, 6:30 p.m., N. I hadn't been invited to dinner. I scrolled further through the calendar. More entries. Lunch, Terrace Cafe, N. Client tour, Loft Condo, N. Always just the initial. Always during or right after work hours. I didn't bring it up. I waited. The next morning, while she was in the shower, I opened her laptop. None of her usual logins were active, but there was a second Instagram account, registered under her maiden name, a private profile. As I scrolled through her messages, one conversation immediately jumped out. Noah called her. This wasn't harmless banter or innocent texting. It was frequent, familiar, and ongoing, planning meetups, chatting into the early hours, constantly checking in. Some of the exchanges flirted with impropriety. Others obliterated the line completely. He wasn't just a business contact. He knew her daily habits, the layout of our home, even things about me he never should have known. I captured every message, screenshotted the entire thread, and stored them in a hidden folder on my phone. Then I erased any trace of my presence, closed her laptop exactly as I'd found it, and walked away. A few minutes later, she came out of the bathroom, pressed a kiss to my cheek, and casually mentioned she'd be late. She had a riverfront listing to show. I nodded and offered to handle dinner. She declined, said she might grab a bite with a client. Of course she would. I watched her walk out, handbag over her shoulder, the wedding ring tucked away like a secret she didn't want seen. Then I sat at the kitchen table, phone in hand, letting everything settle into place. The red flags had always been there. I'd just ignored them. That night, sleep never came. But I didn't confront her. Not yet. I wanted her to think I was still in the dark, because now I had a different plan. For the next several days, I played the part. I smiled, made dinner, sat beside her while she scrolled through her phone. All the while, I was dismantling the life we shared. My first move was canceling the Italy trip. Since the booking was in my name, the refund landed directly on my card. Then I contacted our bank. I transferred every dollar from our shared savings, the fund we'd built for a future home, into a holding account under suspicion of fraud. Technically, that wasn't a lie. She couldn't touch a cent unless I gave approval. Next, I ended the lease on our apartment. That was in my name too. If Melina wanted to stay, she'd have to carry the rent herself. My last stop was a law office. The firm was discreet, tucked into the 9th floor of a downtown building. I presented everything: chat logs, her calendar, our joint finances. The lawyer didn't ask many questions. He reviewed the files, then told me I was handling things exactly right. I already held every advantage. The key was to remain patient, and I did. I was unnervingly calm. That weekend, Melina came home with a new black dress, tags still dangling. She claimed it was a clearance find and smiled. "You're gonna love it," she said. I asked what the occasion was. She brushed past me and hung it up in the closet. "Just felt like dressing up," she said. I returned her smile, but said nothing. By Monday, she was back to her normal routine. Same bag, same rhythm, wedding ring still absent. The second she left, I grabbed a duffel bag from the closet. I packed only what I needed: laptop, charger, ID, some clothes, and left the rest behind. I dropped my keys on the counter, walked out the door, and didn't look back. No note, no explanation. I drove to a short-term rental on the other side of town and turned off my phone. Hours later, when I powered it back on, there was a notification. Luxury Motors Auto Lease Payment declined. I didn't open it, just leaned back in my chair. She'd figure it out soon enough. That evening, I was sitting on the Airbnb porch with a cheap beer, watching the sun stretch into streaks of orange, when her name lit up my phone. I let it ring. Then another call. Then a message. "Gavin, what is going on?" The lease was declined. "My card isn't working. Where are you?" I gave her an hour to stew before I responded. "Check your email." I'd already prepared the folder. Screenshots of her chats with Noah, copies of her calendar entries, a photo of the empty ring box on my side of the dresser. No message, no context, just facts. She called immediately. I let it ring. Then came the texts. "This isn't what it looks like. Let's talk. Please, Gavin, don't do this to us." That last word, us, nearly made me laugh. At exactly 10:14 p.m., she was banging on the Airbnb door. I still don't know how she found me. She always had a talent for turning up where she wasn't invited. I didn't move. "Gavin!" she screamed. "You're seriously hiding now? What kind of man does this?" I didn't reply. She pounded again. "Let me explain," I answered through the door. "Was Noah a client? Since when do clients get to sleep with their agents?" There was a pause. Then a softer voice followed. "I didn't mean for it to go this far." I opened the door just slightly. "So, tell me, Melina, what did you mean?" Her eyes were puffy, barefaced, the ring noticeably missing. "I don't know," she murmured. "I liked the attention. I felt stuck. I didn't think it would end like this." I stepped out, facing her directly. "So you built a second life, one that didn't include me. And now that the money's locked away, you want to fix it?" Tears streaked her cheeks. "I made a mistake, but we're married." That had to stand for something. I held her gaze a moment longer than I intended. "It did," I finally said, "until the day you decided it didn't." Then I turned my back, stepped inside, and closed the door behind me. She never came knocking again. Over the next week, Melina went into overdrive. Calls, emails, even waiting near my gym. I cut her off from every avenue that still mattered. The only one she managed to reach was my younger sister, Aubrey. She rang me that same evening. "She says you wrecked her life," she said flatly, no emotion in her tone. "Did she say why?" I asked. "She did. I asked for evidence. She didn't have any, just said you overreacted." I told Aubrey to make it clear, no more contact. But Melina didn't stop with family. She spread her version to our shared circle. According to her, I'd emptied our bank accounts in a jealous spiral, tanked her finances, and vanished. I didn't feel the need to set the record straight. It wasn't necessary, but I did send a single message to Noah's wife. Her name was Elena Calder. I found her tagged in one of his Facebook photos. I kept the message simple. "Hi, Elena, you don't know me. I'm Gavin Price. I think it's important you're aware that your husband and my wife have been involved. I've attached screenshots. No judgment, no accusations, just information. My only goal is honesty." She replied the following day. "I suspected as much. Thanks for confirming." That was all she wrote. 3 days later, Melina was placed on suspension at work. I hadn't submitted the evidence. Someone else forwarded the texts and images to her company's compliance department. I found out from someone we both knew. Noah had gone into damage control mode, and soon, word began to spread. Some of Melina's elite clients saw the messages. Some backed out. Others started asking questions she couldn't spin. Her professional image, the polished, put-together persona she curated, was cracking. She wasn't fired, but was asked to take a leave of absence while they reviewed her behavior. The polished, poised facade she lived behind was unraveling, and I hadn't raised my voice once. 2 weeks after I left, I was settling into a simpler life. A modest apartment, no clutter. I bought a used desk, set it near a window, and picked up freelance gigs. I didn't need much, just peace. Then one evening, I ran into her again. I had just finished a workout, toweling off as I headed out, when I saw her near the entrance. Hoodie up, sunglasses on, like she was hiding in plain sight. I kept walking. "Gavin," she said, catching my arm. "Please." We ended up standing near the vending machines by the back wall. "You shouldn't be here," I told her. "I didn't know where else to go. I've tried everything," she said. "No, you didn't come for me. You came because you need something." Her voice dropped. "I'm sorry. I know it doesn't fix anything. I betrayed you. I caused you pain. But I miss us." "What we had," I replied, "was genuine. Until it wasn't." Her eyes filled, but she held my gaze. "I didn't realize how empty my life felt until you left it." I gave a quiet nod. "Can't we try again? Just as friends?" she asked gently. I let the silence hang between us before I answered. For a long time, I thought I was the one to blame, that maybe I hadn't seen you clearly. But I had. I just didn't want to admit it. Her mouth trembled. "So that's it? You're walking away like none of it ever mattered?" I took a step back. "You did matter, more than anything. That's why I had to leave." She stood frozen, hands in her pockets, face hollow with fatigue. "I hope you find real help," I said. "I mean that." Then I turned and walked away. I didn't look back. 3 months later, the divorce was finalized. I don't think about Melina anymore. Not out of bitterness, just not at all. She never reached out again after that night, but I've heard things. She moved in with her sister. Her firm quietly let her go. Noah pulled out of several high-profile deals and left town. Not long after I contacted Elena, she filed for separation. I never aimed to destroy anything. I didn't need to. The truth did all the work. Melina's father called me once. He apologized and said she had finally started therapy. I told him I was glad she was getting help. That was the last piece of grace I had left to give. Now, I've started seeing someone new. It's slow, no rush, no sweeping declarations. Just walks, coffee, quiet time. It doesn't feel like fixing what was broken. It feels like something entirely new. The biggest change? I trust myself now. When my gut speaks, I listen. I don't trade peace for comfort anymore. Melina taught me that, not through words, but through omissions, through every lie masked as tenderness. Truth doesn't need to yell, it rises. And when it did, I didn't chase revenge. I chased clarity. Leaving wasn't anger, it was self-preservation. And I'm still here. This story has come to an end. What's your opinion? Share it in the comments, my friend. And if you like this story, check out other exciting videos on my channel. I'll say goodbye until the next video. See you.